Okay, this is my more traditional garden, raised bed garden. As you can see, I've got some okra growing. I've got 6 plants, some that I seeded, and the last 2 right there are store-bought. And I've got some tomatoes, and I didn't seed any tomatoes this year. I just went with store-bought. I'm not much on seeding tomatoes. It takes a long time, and the store-bought ones don't cost that much. And they got plenty of varieties. So here I got a Beef Master, a Big Beef. This is a new one for me, a German Johnson. I heard once you eat these, you won't go back to anything else. We got another Beef Master and a Parks Whopper. I've got these, I started to build me some cages this year, and I already had some of these, if you will, store-bought cages. So I went ahead and used them and I bought a few more, but I put them on these really big stakes, and I drove them stakes down in the ground real well. As you can tell, they're not going anywhere. So hopefully, I know that's a wimpy cage, as I think as Don on Web Cajun would call it, but I think that'll be stout enough to hold them tomatoes in. If not, I'll come up with a solution. From the other side of my more traditional garden box, I have some summer squashes, and down there some winter squashes. Right here I have a butter stick and a butter dish. These are summer squashes. They're Burpee brand seeds, or exclusive seeds, I guess. And then here I have 3 of the butter bush. They're kind of like a Waltham butternut, but just a little smaller. Again, these came from seed. I seeded these in some little solo cups, red solo cups, and they're doing really well. And then down here, I've got some spaghetti squash. I'm not sure if I like spaghetti squash that much, but my wife loves it, so we have spaghetti squash plants. Earlier this year, I had decided I wanted some apple trees. So here's my apple trees. I think I showed these in my last video, but they're coming along really well. I just cultivated those today. They don't take much feeding as one year trees, but I am cultivating, trying to keep the weeds up out of them. And here you see this big long line of these little black mounds, if you will. And what these are is little growing mounds. I had a really difficult time with the soil. You can see right here, I mean, it is just compact, and it is all limestone. And underneath there you can see some of the limestone right there that I've dug out. But since I could not go down, I decided to just build up some mounds. I had seen some videos on YouTube of people growing melons in bags and also in pots, and I just decided that, well, this is kind of a hybrid, if you will. It's not a pot and it's not a bag, but it's a little single mound, and you have a plant in each. So that's a cucumber that I'm going to climb on that tomato cage right there as a trellis, and then that's a zucchini plant. Down here I have 3 cantaloupes that I raised from seeds, so to speak. Those are my own seeds. And I bought those seeds, I think at the big box house. They were Burpee seeds, but from the big box house. And then I've got some watermelon plants. Same thing, got those seeds from the big box house and just germinated those seeds myself. I think these two watermelons are store-bought. So I got 2 store-boughts here. I've got 3 seed starts that I had got, or excuse me, 2 seed starts, and then I've got 3 more seed starts going, and I'm going to put those in 2 mounds that I'm going to start right there. On the last video, I showed you my blackberry canes, and they are coming along very nicely. Lots of good vigor, lots of good growth. This is only a week after my last video, and I'm still only getting about 6 hours, 6.5 hours of sun. In another month I'll be getting a solid 8 hours, and these things will grow like wild. Well, here are my broccoli. I've got 9 of them in there, I think. Plus I've got one over with my cabbage. I had an extra. And they are starting to make really well. Look at those heads. Hope you can see that. So from the last video, they have grown quite a bit in like 7 days. And there's another one right there. Not sure that you can see it, but the carrots are coming up. There we go. You can see those little pieces. They look like grass in there. Well, those are carrots, and they are coming up. I've got half this box. This is a 3x4. I've got half of it planted right now in 2 different types of carrots, and in another week or 2 I'll sow another row, and then 2 or 3 weeks after that I'll sow another row, so that I have carrots for a little while. Over here are my beets. They're starting to come up really nicely. There's one little spot right there where my dog went walking through my little box here and just destroyed a whole section there, but that's fine. He's still alive. I hadn't killed him yet. That box right there is waiting for Burpees to send me my sweet potatoes. As soon as he does, those go in the ground. Cabbages are looking a lot better. Heads are making. I think I told you in the last video I had to spray them. Bugs are just eating them alive. Matter of fact, there's maybe a bug right in there. I don't know if you can see it. There is one right in there, but hopefully I'll get something out of that. Like I say, they've been eating them pretty good. I did spray it. I hate to do that, but you got to kill the bug somehow. I had actually had to plant a couple of small pot tomatoes. I ran out of space. My plan for my tomato patch kind of changed. In here I was going to have 2 cherry type tomatoes just for salads and such, and I couldn't find Romas, and all of a sudden Lowe's had Romas, and they had one little flat of them, so I bought 4 and decided to plant all 4 there, which means that I had 2 tomato plants that I didn't have a place for. So my wife went out and bought some pots, and that's the first year I've done potted tomatoes like that, but I'm sure they're going to do fine. Again, the onions are doing well, continue to do well. You can see that they are really coming along. Look at that red one down there. That is nice. Looking forward to that. Garlics, they're about the same. You can't really tell a difference, but I know they're growing. Over here, let me go back. Here is another butter stick, and which is a summer squash. And then you have in the corners, I planted some more beets. We love beets and we can beets. And then over here, I've got a butter, see, that was a butter stick. This is a butter dish squash. And in this box, I trimmed it with onions. So these are more of the eaten onions until it's time to pick onions. We'll call them big scallions. So we've been eating on them, and they're pretty good. Alright YouTube, that's the weekly garden update. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll be back in another week or so, maybe in just a few days, give you an update if anything changes. But for the most part, everything's working well, growing well. Looks like everything is doing well. I think we're done with frost this year. We had our last frost last week, and I think we're on to a good gardening season.